So let's sketch the graph of a trigonometric function. Sketch the graph of y is equal to 2 sine x. Remember, sine x simply means sine theta. It can be the angle. So how to sketch this? You need first to draw the graph. So we're going just to draw the graph of one period. Okay, we are just going to draw the graph of one period. So we know that we have x, y, x-axis. Hence we have 90 degrees, we have 180 degrees, 270 and 360. This is a graph of one period. Now on the y-axis, that's where the question will come. On the x-axis, we know we are just using a graph of one period. Okay, so now on the y-axis, that's where now we have to look at the question very closely. It is y is equal to 2 sine x. Now, this question always is understood of when we are given this kind of a question. Remember, y is equal to amplitude sine of any number that you be given, sine x. This a simply stands for amplitude. Okay, amplitude. So remember that a simply stands for amplitude. So if we are given any number value here, just know that is the amplitude of the graph that you are going to draw. So in this case, we are simply saying that the amplitude for this graph will be 2. So we are going to write 2 as the maximum amplitude, and also negative 2. And also negative 2 there as the maximum amplitude. So this is how you get to determine how the graph will look like. Once you do that part, then now it means that you'll be able to find your answer without any problem. Okay, so with this said, now let's draw the graph, which simply says this sine, we know sine always starts from the origin. Sine graph starts from the origin, goes to 90 degrees, from 90, 180, from 180 to 70, 270, 360. Then we have made a cycle. Okay, so let's start from here. We put a dot there. Then we go all the way to this 2, which is the amplitude. We put a dot on this point 90. Then from 90, we put a dot 180 there. From 180, we put a dot just here, 270. From 270, we go to 360 to make a full cycle. So now let's sketch this graph. This graph will look like this. Remember, this is supposed to be a curve, not anything else. So how you draw the curve matters. Okay, how you draw the curve matters. So you can easily rotate to make sure that it's a curve we are drawing, not anything with the corner. All right, now look how this looks like. So this is the graph. Now, as you can see, when the amplitude it is bigger than 1, you can even see the depth of this curve, which is here. It is a bit sharp compared to the graphs that we looked at when the amplitude was 1. So in this graph like this one, this part here, from this is where we call the amplitude. The amplitude is simply the distance from here to this. You can see that this here, it is where the amplitude is. And we define the amplitude that is simply the half of the distance between the highest point, which is this highest point, and the lowest point of the curve. So this is the amplitude in other case, the difference in this. So the distance between the highest point and the lowest point of the wave, this is the amplitude. So this is how you draw this graph. Okay, now let's move on and look on to something different than this. Okay, so this kind of a graph now. Sketch the graph of y is equal to negative cos x. So how do you sketch this kind of a graph? Okay, let's draw the graph. Okay, so the graph is like this. So again, this graph, it will just be of one period. So we start when this is 90 degrees. Remember, I'm using a graph so that you get to understand. You see the graph, how it is coming out. This graph is of 2 centimeter. A graph pad is of 2 centimeter. So from here to there is 2 centimeter. So we say this is 90, this is 180 degrees, and this is 270 degrees. This is 360, meaning a 1 whole period. So this is x. We have 0 there, and then we have y axis there. Now the question again comes in, what will be the amplitude for y axis? Now it is very easy to understand when you look at the first question, which simply -3 cos x, where we said y is equal to a sine x. So in this scenario, A is simply stand for amplitude. A simply stand for what? Amplitude. So in any question that is of this manner, just know that the coefficient of sine x degrees is simply the amplitude. So in this case, we have negative what? -3 cos x. So -3 is the amplitude, but always the amplitude should be positive. Always the amplitude is what? Positive. So meaning in this case, the amplitude is going to be 3, positive 3. Okay, so the amplitude should be positive always. So in this case, the amplitude is positive 3. So we're going to draw a graph by simply saying we have 1, 2, 3. 3 is going to be there. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Both sides you do the same, -3 there. Okay, so now because this cos, we know how the cos graph looks like. The cos doesn't start from 0, but it starts from the amplitude, the maximum amplitude that is given, going down to 90, 180, 270 to 360, just like that. That's how the cosine graph looks like. So in this case, we have y is equal to -3. So this is a negative graph of cosine. It's not a positive. It will not start from +3, but it will start from -3 going up like that because of negative. So we are going to put a dot just here on -3. Just here -3. Then we move on to 90. We put a dot just there where 90 is. From 90, we go to 3, where 3 there, but it's 180, so it is there. Okay, from 180 there, we are going to move back to 270, which is here. You put a mark there. From 270, we move all the way to 360, but following the amplitude, which is -3, like that. So it will be there. Okay, so you can easily see how stiff this graph will look like. So let's sketch it now. Let's sketch it by joining these points. It's a graph, so it should look like a graph by simply starting maybe from there, like that. Okay, I love it when it's neatly done. Okay, like that, and then you can easily rotate this to make sure that you draw a curve, not anything with corners. It's not going to be a curve. Okay, so continue. We continue. Yes, like that. Okay, you can see that this graph now has come out. This is a cosine graph. When the cosine is negative, the amplitude is negative, this is how the cosine graph will look like. So in this scenario, we are simply seeing the difference between the previous video where we looked at the cos graph when the amplitude was 1. It was not as deep as this one. You can see this one has a very narrow curve because when the amplitude is smaller, the graph tends to be as smaller as it can be as possible. So if we were to put -5 there or -6, you would see that the curve, it will be a bit thin compared to when the amplitude is 1. So this is one way you can understand or tell that this is the correct graph for cosine. So we end here. Hopefully I've made this clear. If you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, please do subscribe so that everything can be well understood. You can get the notification bell immediately once the new video is posted. We end here. See you on the next video.